was collected in an anthology of my short stories and published in 2017 before I left the country in a collection. So, but currently the book is, the stories in the book is being translated in English, and it will be published, the complete translation, next year. It's called the 87 Press, if you're familiar with the press. It's a small indie press based in Southeast London, so they will publish the entire book translated to the English language. So one of the stories I'll share tonight, just a part of the story, it was published in a collection of, it's a book called Ulera, Best Contemporary Stories and Translation from the Philippines. Ulera means consciousness. It was one of the stories was published last March in this anthology, as it's available online, so you can find it at Amazon, but I got it from Book Depository, so you can buy it. It was published in the US. The anthology was published in the US last March. So the story I'm going to read today, part of the story is called Fungi. The original title is Fungi. It was translated to English by Kristine Ong Muslim. She's a poet and a short story writer from the Philippines. So just a bit of a background on the text. I wrote it when I was like 19 years old. And in the Philippines, we have a Philippine literature in English, but the dominant ideology is still the formalism, the American formalism, if you're familiar with the Iowa thing, in the third world countries. So I was toying around with the idea of defamiliarization. If you're familiar with Juls Chan formalism, so defamiliarization is using the language to make ordinary things and experience unfamiliar. So that's called defamiliarization. So I toyed around with the idea of defamiliarization. So I wrote this story. I'm trying to defamiliarize a very familiar thing for us, which is a soap. Okay, so the title is Fungi. The structure of the story is divided into 3 parts. The first part is set in a place called Lupang Pangako, or Promised Land. It's a dump site in the Philippines, in Manila. So the dump site is like 13 hectares, and people around there are people living in the dump site. So poor people, they live like every day they get their food from the dump site. So basically some children were born there, and some people actually grew up in the dump site. So it's like a community. So that's the first part. The second part is the 2 children, the main character, rode the truck, the garbage truck, so that they were able to get out of the dump site and went to downtown Manila. So the third part of the story is that they rode, so one of the surviving, because 2 of them, one actually died, so one rode the truck again, so the truck returned to the dump site. So basically all the trucks, the dump site, the garbage trucks in Manila will actually go to that place. So these 2 children are looking for the soap. So defamiliarizing the soap. But tonight I'm going to read to you a very short part of the story to introduce to you the characters and to introduce to you the city where I came from, which is Manila. Manila is a city bisected by a river called Pasig River. So this is from the eyes of the 2 children looking for the magical thing that they were able to see in the heaps of garbage. But in the story, it was never mentioned that it's a soap. So it's several pages of defamiliarization. Okay. Fungi. I'm reading the translation from the original Filipino. Alighting from the garbage truck, they were immediately struck by a familiar scent of the magical thing they thought they had lost and had to go out of their way to find outside the promised land. Their knees trembled with anticipation. They knew they were close to finding it. They, however, had to settle for a subtle whiff of the thing's distinctive scent, which was often overpowered by the thick black exhaust fumes of motor vehicles. Interestingly, Bering and Buni could smell the fate of every person they encountered in the streets. Slowly, they could no longer feel their gorge rising. They were no longer nauseous. The stink of the promised land was like a distant memory. The syrupy air, it dissipated with the dizzying view of the skyscrapers. Bering thought that the impossibly tall buildings looked like the thighs of derelict giants that lived in the clouds. Buni, look, a big spring. That's not a spring, that's Pasig River. Buni said with barely concealed pride. I didn't know Pasig was this beautiful. What do you say we take a bath there later? Tatay said it's me. You know, he also told me that that was where his mother and 3 siblings went under when they were still kids. Buni recounted that she and Bering watched the weeping waters of Pasig. Went under? Why? Tatay said if you're hungry